I've always been pretty good with people. I noticed at a young age I was perfectly capable of having conversations with friends of all ages. It's kind of fascinating how much different people think as they get older, and that's not to say that just because someone's older they're always necessarily right. There was this one time I was having a chat with an old friend. He's about 50, and somehow we got on the topic of millennials. Now, if you don't know, millennials are responsible for killing off a lot of miscellaneous stuff that might disappear in the future, such as beer, napkins, cereal, golf. Seems like we millennials just don't see the need for these things, and as our generation builds, the popularity of these things are going down. We were having a chat about this for a while when the man turned to me and said, "You know millennials are the worst generation ever, right?" Now this was back when I was working at Walmart, which was funny because we chatted about millennials being lazy. And before I get off topic, I have heard this said before. It's kind of a common thing that old people say, but it just never felt right with me. So I asked him why he felt that way, and he replied with a sort of, well, you know, millennials are entitled and stupid and trying to change everything to make it safer because they're scared of everything. It's pathetic. Now this kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and in that moment I had an epiphany. This is when I turned to him and said, "You know, that's kind of unfair. What did the generation before you do?" He kind of just looked at me and asked, "What do you mean?" "They formed the Industrial Revolution," I said. "They fought in the Second World War. They built this country up into what it is today, and the economy was at an all-time high. Now what did your generation do? Took advantage of that money, crashed your businesses into the ground, ruined the economy, brought in a recession when I was 8 years old, and you're telling me I was responsible for that? Hey, maybe I am entitled, maybe I am lazy, but what generation brought me up to behave that way? You people complain about things being too easy for us youngsters, but when I was a kid, I remember my parents wishing that I grew up living in an easier time than they. Sure, maybe there's a lot of people out there without drive, but at least there are those out there too within these new generations that want to make a difference and learn from the mistakes of your generation. And by the way, I'm not a millennial, I'm Gen Z." Now, I didn't mean to be so melodramatic here, but the look on his face was priceless. He just kind of sat back and let out a huge sigh, which made me start laughing. Now, I know it's not the greatest story, but it showed me that it doesn't matter how old you are, there's always a different mindset out there, and it may just change the way you think forever. This next story happened when I was 17. I had this YouTube channel called B.A. Weidrich, where I'd tell stories and all that, and one day I pulled a prank on my brother. Now, I had lost this video when the channel was deleted, but recently I found an external hard drive with all the videos on there, and this one was part of it. Essentially, David was out getting firewood for a wood stove, which is how we heated the house at the time. While he was doing this though, I took a screwdriver and unscrewed the door handle. This video is from a 4th generation iPod Touch, so it's not the best quality, but go ahead and see for yourself. Okay, here he comes, here he comes, here he comes. Okay, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. Boom! Oh, that was awesome! Yeah, I was kind of a mean brother. While I'm showing off old videos though, which no, I will never ever re-upload anywhere, don't even ask, I will show an embarrassing one of me. I was making a movie trailer for the short film contest that was held in Ashland, and for the video, I had to wear all white. Well, the long johns that I was wearing kept falling down as I was running, so I went to my mother's car to fix that, and my friends started recording me without me knowing, so enjoy this embarrassing clip.
I'm tying my underwear.
Sir, have you been drinking?
I'm tying my underwear. God dang it.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Tying my underwear. It's not working. Dang. Oh. I'm tying it.
Ultimate cringe, right? Don't ever tell anyone I showed that to you. This last story happened a couple months ago. So here in the mystical Rogue Valley, we have a mystical rogue river that flows through it, and on that river is a jet boat tour called Hellgate. It's a lot of fun. I've probably been on the tour maybe 4 times now, and I've had a blast every time. Well, the last time we went was with a large group of older Jehovah's Witnesses, which is not a bad thing, but is important information for this particular tale. Now, if you don't know how Jehovah's Witnesses behave, I was part of it for a very long time, so I can shed some light on that. You know how in a lot of religions you'll find those people who are just way too into it? That's very normal for Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm not saying they're all like that, but definitely a lot of them are very by the book, which makes situations like what happened so much funnier. So there we are in the jet boat ride. We've gotten to about the halfway point, and we're coming to this canyon to look around before we head back the other way to the restaurant. Well, we get to the turnaround spot, and right above us on the rock are 2 topless girls just sitting there. Which was awkward, until it wasn't. People in the boat started laughing and waving at the girls, and the girls waved back for a bit until they got kind of pissy and started flipping people off, which, if you decide to get naked in a public place, you don't get to be all miffed when people look at you, okay? Come on, think for a second. Anyway, there we are just enjoying the view when I decided to turn around to the full row of Jehovah's Witnesses behind me, and I said, "Thank you so much for inviting us to this. I'm having such a great time." It was very quiet back there, and they didn't seem to like that very much until the oldest woman tapped me on the shoulder and said loud enough for the entire boat to hear, "Are you enjoying the view?" Everyone started laughing, and when I turned around to look at her, she had taken her top off too. No, I'm just kidding. She was just smiling really big. But could you imagine